Always a delight coming your way. I am Pius Kojobaka. This evening, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana has strongly kicked against any move by transport operators to increase commercial fares by 20% this Friday. COPEC argues that there is no justification for an increase in transport fares based on its research and engagement with stakeholders. Even before we bring in COPEC now, let's get to hear from the General Secretary of the Ghana Transport Coordinating Council, Emmanuel Ohini Yeboah, who says the increment is as a result of government's inability for further engage stakeholders before implementation of the 1 cedi levy on fuel. Now, he adds that they will only rescind their decision should government reduce some levies and taxes. Take a listen.
Practice, whenever there's a government policy that affects the operations, what we normally do is that there's a stakeholder engagement to the ministry or agency involved for us to come to terms with exactly what is going to happen. Unfortunately, on this issue of this 1 cedi levy, it just came to the fore, it just came to the public, and some eyebrows were raised and they withdrew it for some time. I don't know if it was because of our concerns we initially raised. They withdrew it and came back on the system without further engagement with us. So we realized if they had listened to us, maybe we have told them, we'll let them know how it's going to affect our operations and all that. So that is it. I think that's a major contributing factor that had led to the increase in transport fares. As I speak with you now, well, we have set in motion systems that would, trigger those things, the increment. If the government comes back and he wants to maybe do some reverse sign or one of whatever is policy, then we don't mind. We can come back and speak to our people and see how best we can bring them back to this.
Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amwa, joins us via Zoom for a conversation on the back of this. Duncan, thank you so much for joining us. Now, you believe the explanations given by the Ghana Transport Coordinating Council really are untenable?
Pius, good evening to you, to your viewers. Indeed, the issue of transport fares is one that is quite sensitive. Sensitive to the extent that the cost of goods and services would naturally be affected anytime you adjust fares upwards. It would have been easier to agree that fares should go upwards at this point if the matrices or the indicators were pointing to the negative. Unfortunately, we are unable to support this at this time. Pius, we are one of the units that have supported our transport operators every single time that they have come to us requesting for adjustments, especially when the numbers or the matrices support their arguments. You do not know how they came by a 20% at a time when the cost of spare parts, which is one of their key contributory variables. I do not see how they can also justify that the figures we released today about fuel prices year-on-year adjustments. You can safely see that even after the introduction of the 1 Ghana levy, you are still a little better off today, which is the 5th day of August, than a year ago, even without the 1 Ghana cedi. And so it becomes quite difficult to see how at the same time that Ghanaians are asking for cost of goods and services to decline due to the general economic condition we find ourselves as a people. You have a section of drivers indicating that they would want to go and adjust their fares upwards. When that happens, you are simply telling the Aboso Kai guys that whatever reductions that they see or they give is not worth it. You are simply telling the OMCs, you are telling the entire petroleum value chain that working to reduce fuel prices as they have done is also not worth it, and that we should leave things to just go haywire. I don't think that we are in a position to entertain this at this point. And it's refreshing that in our engagement with the other transport unions, probably the largest, GPRTU, they distance from such a decision, and that is quite welcoming. So we only appeal to these other transport operators to consider the public good, consider the matrices that we have currently that do not suggest or support the 20% adjustments that they are seeking to slap on the already suffering masses who are asking for the cost of goods and services to decline at this point. If you heard the Automotive Car Dealers Association of Ghana, they are quite positive that very soon the cost of even vehicles, which is one of the key variables also even in transport fare computation, would also decline. And so when people are working hard to bring a system
Too bad. It seems Duncan Amwes' line has frozen. And of course, as and when he rectifies that, we shall. All right, so I'm told it's back, Duncan. We lost you, Duncan.
Yes, I'm still here, if it is okay.
All right, so
what I was saying is that we cannot allow a section of the driving public to, push all of us back into the days of old where things only went upwards. We are at a point where even general inflationary pressures have declined, fuel prices have declined, cost of parts have declined, cost of automotive oil, or what you will call engine oil, is also declined. It will be quite surprising to be able to use any metrics to justify this 20% that they are seeking to add, other than defer to the emotive arguments of one Ghana cedi that has been applied. That still doesn't make petrol any worse off than it was as of January 2025 or even December 2025, right, when fares were at the levels they were.
In a minute.
Mind you, in May, when we had said that some of them should even reduce transport fares because we had declined from the 15, 17 region to around 12, a good number of them refused to decline on fares. And so they've subjected Ghanaians to what you will call higher fares already. And now you come back to say you are coming to add 20%. That, I think, it is not justified in any way and should be immediately halted if these transport operators are listening.
That's fine. So as it stands now, the consumers, like I always say, stands to bear the brunt of this. What's going to be the fate of consumers and, of course, passengers? And we have from now till Friday, which is, of course, 3 days away. What's COPEC going to do about it?
Well, I'll be surprised that we allow a section of the driving public to take all of us on a bad ride. If that happens, you are simply telling the Abosokai spare parts people to also go and increase the cost of parts, even without justification. You are equally telling the oil marketing companies to simply charge whatever they want. Mind you, they are also in a deregulated environment, which allows them to price as they wish. And so if we allow this to go, we are simply creating not only chaos, but we are derailing the entire system for the selfish benefit of a few who think that, of course, because they were not consulted or asked any questions in the introduction of the One Ghana levy, which legitimately they should have been consulted. I agree. Because they were not consulted, so they also feel that they should come and, inconvenience the system. That I cannot see any justification for. The numbers do not support this decision, and I think that it is only fair and proper that they withdraw the decision completely.
Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amwa, thank you so much for joining us here on Business Live, and we will monitor that space and keep viewers updated subsequently. Now, the National Identification Authority has taken the drastic step to disconnect the Ghana Revenue Authority from its identity verification service platform due to the GRA's failure to settle a 376 million cedis debt. The IVS platform is a critical digital infrastructure that enables public and private institutions to instantly verify the identity of individuals using the Ghana Card database. Now, the action, we are learning, has left many importers and exporters stranded as they are unable to clear goods at the country's ports. And let's go live to Tema and gauge the mood as we speak. And our man, Kwame Yanka, joins us by phone. Kwame, thank you so much for joining us here on Business Live. Can you confirm whether the NIA shut out of GRA from the verification platform has indeed halted goods clearance, and whether this development has brought some congestion at the ports? Is that the situation?
So you may recall that at a point, once Ghana card number could serve as his tax identification number as well. So as this started, it is believed that once Ghana Revenue Authority and National Identification Authority are not in good terms at this point, if I may put it so, it would directly affect processes at the some point, including the seaport. But my checks revealed that in fact, the database they use for their transactions and all that barely has anything to do with Identification Authority. So in this case, they have not been impacted in any way. They've done business from yesterday up to today. They've not experienced anything of a sort. So at this point, it's quite unclear which section of the, let's say, business community within the port enclave is experiencing this challenge at this point. So
basically, there is no congestion at the port. Is that the case?
Yes, my checks reveal that things are quite seamless before this issue came up.
And this is a developing story, Kwame. So what has management at Tema Ports been saying?
Okay, so Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is yet to come in at this point. But from the freight forwarders and the agents who on daily basis deal with these importers and all that, have been telling me that they've not experienced any challenge as far as this current situation with Ghana Revenue Authority and National Identification Authority issue is concerned.
Kwame Yankah, do monitor developments at Tema Port for us, and of course we shall come to you as and when we need more clarification. Kwame Yankah is our man at Tema. Now, away from that, Reuters is reporting that South Africa's biggest grocery retailer, Shoprite Holdings, has announced that it is selling its operations in Ghana and Malawi, marking another step towards consolidation of its activities across Africa to focus more on its home market. More in this report.
The supermarket retailer had expanded extensively in Africa, surpassing rivals such as Pick n Pay and Walmart to become the continent's leading consumer goods retailer in about 15 countries. In Ghana, the group received a binding offer in June for 7 trading stores and 1 warehouse. The sale is deemed highly probable, Shoprite said. Presently, the company's shares has gone down by some 2.6%. The planned sales follow Shoprite's exit from Nigeria, Kenya, Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, and Madagascar. Shoprite had also restricted capital allocations to its supermarkets outside South Africa.
Should this be an opportunity for Ghana to have its own retail shopping centers? Joining us for a conversation is the West Africa Regional Director for CAS International, Lapia Kusia-Dumako. Thank you so much, sir, for making time to speak to us here on Business Live. And I know you've done a lot of advocacy work when it comes to fair prices from these large supermarkets. How would their exit affect customers, looking at the large number of customers basically who troop their malls in a day?
Okay, so good afternoon. I think that the presence of Shoprite into the Ghanaian market gave Ghanaian consumers a lot of options whenever they go to shop. You know, probably before 2022 October, we had another giant called Game that also left the market. Now, when Game left the market, it also this company, Melcom, has acquired most of Game's space in the malls. Now, Shoprite is also leaving, and we don't know which company has expressed interest in acquiring the stake of Shoprite in the country. But for me, I'm very much concerned not about the exit of the firm in the market, in the Ghanaian market, but what could be its impact on pricing. Now, we've realized that the Melcom has become the biggest retail supermarket in the country. if Melcom, for example, acquires the shares of the asset of the Melcom of Shoprite, what it means is that it's going to solidify Melcom's gain and create a kind of a giant monopoly or a dominant in the retail market. And when a firm is a monopoly, it can decide to price anyhow. And we've seen how firms that are monopoly or giant or dominant in the country, how their size has also become a barrier to entry, that people don't find it economically viable to enter into the market. So for me, I think that government needs to look at who is going to buy this firm. When you look at the Reuters story, Shoprite is leaving Ghana and Malawi. In Malawi, the purchase is subject to an approval by the competition authority in Malawi because the acquisition of Shoprite assets in Malawi could may or may not hurt consumers, and so they do as what is going to be impact on competition in the market. Because if that company that buys it ends up becoming the largest operator in the market, they can decide to increase prices and even poor quality of service because there's no competitor. And so we need to be very careful how we allow. Government should not just sit down to say that this is a private transaction. No, because the transaction can have impact on competition. It can have impact on consumer welfare. And so I want to urge the Ministry of Trade to start looking at the which company is going to acquire Shoprite in Ghana. In a way, if it's going to be Melcom, I think that they should not permit, because already Melcom is a giant in the market already. So they may have to allow a different company to come and acquire so that there will be a competition in the retail market.
And although sad to know that Shoprite is planning to leave Ghana's shopping market after 20 years, could this be a blessing in disguise for Ghanaian operators, like you are saying, to have their own shopping centers? And what drastic measures should we take to ensure that, well, we also take charge?
Yes, it's very sad that the firm is leaving Ghana. And it also be good if we can have Ghanaian entrepreneurs running a shop, running a grocery shop. It's not anything like a quantum mechanics. There are Ghanaian businesses that have got the resources to be able to take over. And I think that they should explore that option in taking over. We want to see Ghanaian retailers taking over the space that is being led by Shoprite in the country.
And you've always advocated a competition law to protect consumers, basically. How deliberate must Ghanaian businesses be wanting to enter the market, which, of course, is already flooded by foreigners with a large customer base?
Please, can you repeat the question again, sir?
I am asking you to tell us, per your competition law, which you've always come out with, how deliberate must Ghanaian businesses be wanting to enter the market, which is already flooded by foreigners?
Okay, so one thing that competition law does is that it tries to remove any barriers to entry. So if there's any barriers that prevent new firms from entering into the market, competition law seeks to remove that barrier to entry. So that is the number one. Once the barriers are removed, anybody who wants to enter into the market can enter. But sometimes the problem becomes in a way that you may want to enter into the market, but you cannot get the goods because the goods that are being supplied are controlled by an exclusive dealing. Let's take, for example, the issue of multi-choice. There are other companies in the pay TV market, but none of them can have access to the Premier League and the EPL and the UEFA Champions League. This is because of the exclusive arrangement between multi-choice and the upstream content providers. And so I think that we may have to look at the exclusivity in some contract dealings that impact on competition and also lead to consumer harm. And I know that once passed into law, the competition law will be able to address some of these things that result into concentration and anti-competitive practices.
West Africa Regional Director of CAS International, thank you so much. Apiakusi Adumaku, grateful speaking to us here on Business Live. You're still watching Business Live. We have more for you after this break. Welcome back to Business Life, and right about now, I'd like to take you to myjoyonline.com/business for more stories on that portal as you have it. COPEC kicks against proposed 20% hike in transport fares, and we're live with Duncan Amwa on that here on Business Life. Also on that portal, fallout of 6 members of MPC voted for a 300 basis points rate cut in relation to the policy rate. And of course, you can get more details on myjoyonline.com/business. And there you go, South African grocery retailer Shoprite plans to exit Ghana. And we spoke to Apiakusi Adumaku on the back of that story as well. We have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Always a delight serving you. I am Pius Ojobaka.